39 Things to Know About J.D. Vance, Trump's Running Mate, authored by Joseph Lord and Jackson Richmond, via Epoch Times. On July 15, former President Donald Trump announced that Senator J.D. Vance, Republican from Ohio, was his vice presidential pick, ending months of speculation. After lengthy deliberation and thought and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance, former President Trump said in a Truth Social post. And based on Mr. Vance's published works and interviews, here are 39 things to know about the Ohio Republican who is set to share the ticket with former President. Number one, he's very young. He's 39 years old. Mr. Vance was born August 2nd, 1984, turning 40 in August, and he's the first millennial on a major party ticket and one of the youngest vice presidential candidates in history. 2, he's Catholic. 3, he's married to Usha Chilukuri Vance. Mr. Vance is married to Usha Chilukuri Vance, whom he met in Yale Law School. They married in 2014. Ms. Vance currently works as a corporate litigator. She has clerked for Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts and then Appellate Judge Brett Kavanaugh. She would be the first Hindu spouse of a vice president. 4, the couple has 3 children. Mr. Vance has 3 children, Ewan, 6, Vivek, 4, and Mirabelle, 2. I love that name, Mirabelle. 5, he's considered a populist conservative. Vance is commonly considered to be populist conservative. His political ideology is often placed alongside the ranks of former President Trump, Senator Josh Hawley, and pro-Trump swaths of the House Freedom Caucus. Number 6, he grew up in a lower-class family. Mr. Vance famously grew up in a lower-class family in Middletown, Ohio, and often experienced financial and familial hardships growing up. 7, he's a best-selling author. Vance first became well known for his best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, published in 2016, which details his time growing up in poverty-stricken areas of the Rust Belt. His book traces the drug abuse issues and financial hardships experienced by many in the white working class, as was seen by many as a primer on the population and propelled former President Trump to victory in 2016. Number 8, there's a movie adaptation of his book, and it's on Netflix, I believe. Vance's book was adapted into a namesake Netflix film in 2020. 9, he experienced a decline of the Rust Belt. In both his memoir and the movie adaptation, Vance explains his experience of the decline of the Rust Belt and the impacts it had on those living there. Speaking about his native Middletown, Vance wrote in Hillbilly Elegy, "There is a lack of agency here, a feeling that you have little control over your life, and a willingness to blame everyone but yourself." He's made clear that this experience has continued to shape his political life and decisions. Number 10, he grew up in Ohio but considered Eastern Kentucky home. Number 11, his parents divorced when he was a toddler. Vance's parents, Donald Bowman and Bev Vance, divorced when he was very young, leaving Mr. Vance to be raised by his mother. In Hillbilly Elegy, Mr. Bowman is described as having been largely absent from Mr. Vance's life, though the two reconciled later in life. Vance says both of his parents struggled to maintain stability in their employment. Both largely worked a series of odd jobs over the years. 12, his original surname was Bowman, and later Vance temporarily took his stepfather's surname Hamill. Eventually he settled on Vance, which belonged to his mother and grandparents. 13, his mother suffered from substance abuse issues. 14, he lived with his grandmother. The struggles of home life, compounded by his mother's struggles with drug addiction, eventually led Vance living with his grandmother. And 15, his grandparents were Democrats. 16, he's a Marine Corps Iraq combat vet. Vance served in Iraq as a Marine combat correspondent during the mid-2000s. 17, he has a dual undergraduate degree from Ohio State University, a degree in political science and philosophy from Ohio State. He graduated summa cum laude in 2009. 18, he earned a JD from Yale Law School. Vance earned a Juris Doctorate from Yale Law School in 2013. While there, he met law professor Amy Chua, who persuaded him to write his memoir. Ms. Chua is known for her own best-selling memoir, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. 19, he was an editor of the Yale Law Journal. While studying law, Mr. Vance served on the editorial staff of Yale Law Journal. 20, he's close with Peter Thiel. After graduating from Yale Law School, Vance worked at the law firm Sidney Austin LLP before joining billionaire Peter Thiel's Mithril Capital in San Francisco. Mr. Thiel later spent more than $10 million in support of Vance during his 2022 Senate run. 21, he was a venture capitalist. 22, he sponsored programs to combat drug addiction. 23, he was a CNN contributor. 24, he was not always pro-Trump. 25, his views evolved after Trump took office. Since 2016, Mr. Vance said his views on the former president have changed, and he's recanted his statements from 2016. The reason for this, he said, was seeing how former President Trump handled the job. In a May interview with CNN, he told anchor Dana Bash, I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Dana, and I was very, very proud to be proven wrong. It's one of the reasons why I'm working so hard to get him elected. 26, he voted for Trump in 2020. 27, he won a tough primary in a crowded field. 28, he was Donald Trump Jr.'s pick. Vance developed a relationship with former President Trump's oldest son during his 2020 Senate campaign when the young Trump campaigned for him. Since then, Mr. Trump has signaled that he favored Vance in the Veep stakes. In a recent podcast episode, Trump said, everyone knows I've sort of been for J.D. Vance. 29, he's been in the Senate since January 2023. 30, he has a conservative voting record. 31, he has worked across the aisle on legislation. 32, he has served on 3 Senate panels, the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, and the Special Committee on Aging. 33, he has a hold on all Department of Justice appointments. In June 2023, Vance announced that he would use his power as a senator to place holds on all future nominees for the Department of Justice. He cited the department's prosecutions against the former president as a reason for the hold. 34, he wants abortion left to the states. 35, he spoke in support of the 2023 United Auto Workers strike. Vance spoke supportively of the United Auto Workers strike. Elsewhere, he said he supports collective bargaining as an abstract matter. 36, he's critical of the Iraq War. Though he served in the Iraq War, Vance has since been critical of the conflict, saying he made a mistake in initially supporting it. He said, I served my country honorably, and I saw when I went to Iraq that I had been lied to, that the promises of the foreign policy establishment of this country were a complete joke, he said on the Senate floor in April. 37, critical of Ukraine aid. Vance has been critical of continued U.S. support for the war in Ukraine. Since taking office, he's voted against every Ukraine aid package that's come to the floor. He's called for Europe to bear the brunt of the financing of that war. Vance wrote in an April op-ed for New York Times that the current trajectory of the war is unsustainable for either the U.S. or Ukraine. He said that the notion that Ukraine will reclaim all its lands lost to Russia is fantastical. In other words, it's just fantasy. 38, support Israel aid. Vance supports aid to Israel. 39, he says U.S. focus should be on China. Vance has also taken a tough stance on China, encouraging the United States to focus its efforts there. Between war in Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, Vance said America has to pick and choose where it invests its resources. We should be focused on our own problems, and that's mostly China, Vance said in April. My argument is the Chinese are focused on real power. They're not focused on how tough people talk on TV or how strong our alleged resolve is. They're focused on how strong we actually are, and to be strong enough to push back against the Chinese, we've got to focus there. And right now, we're stretched too thin, he says. And this is on Zero Hedge by Joseph Lord and Jackson Richmond via Epoch Times. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.